If you've ever been in the Abbey Church, you'll see that there is a large red screen, and behind that is a fine organ, built by Holtkamp back in 1961 when the church was completed. But there were always dreams of expanding that organ so that beyond just accompanying the monastic choir, it could also be used for concerts and also larger liturgies. And so 60 years later, we brought this dream to fruition by asking Martin Pasi, one of the top organ builders in the United States, to expand. And while he was here expanding the organ, he got to know that we have been trying to build a new Abbey woodshop for the last 60 years. And now that it's here, St. John's Abbey Woodshop houses St. John's Abbey organ builders, St. John's Abbey Woodworking, and then also Abbey artisans. My name is Father Luke Roby, monk of St. John's Abbey. I am the director of St. John's Abbey Woodworking and St. John's Abbey organ builders. So this 30,000-foot facility was started in 2022 and finished 1 year later in 2023, October. Right now we have about 10 employees, lay craftsmen, monks, student workers, and then we also have a whole array of volunteers as well. It's a big space, but it also allows us, as we continue to grow and hire more people and get more apprenticeships, education, those aspects, this building is really going to grow with us instead of being limiting from the outset. So it all started back, I think, in the 1950s. There was a lot of expansion on campus. We had to ramp up, our ability to create furniture for all these students and the increase in monks. And that was the first idea of that we need a new wood shop. Well, that took about 70 years for us to actually get that to come to be. And so we tried again back in 2018 when one of the directors was retiring. And at that same time, Martin Pasi, the organ builder, was expanding our own Abbey organ.
Man, we can go ahead and take a seat at school right
Yeah,
now.
well, fitting and everything.
Anything of this?
Yeah, my name is Martin Pasi, and I'm an organ building master. I've been doing it just about 50 years. I was always interested in music. My whole family was musical. But we were also, all of us, also very practical, with our hands, and always wanted to make stuff. So the musical and the making really mixed up, and organ building, ended up being, of course, the ideal profession for that sort of thing. I mean, listening to the organ was already a passion to begin with, but then building became one pretty quickly. I was approached by St. John's Abbey to maybe build an organ for them, or an expansion of their existing organ. And I said, well, I'm on my way home from another job, I will stop by and see what this is all about. The building really sold me, I fell sort of in awe right away. So I said, yeah, this is something I think I want to be involved in. So in 2019, in the fall, we started. Then I didn't really think right away, but a couple of days later, I came first to Father Bob with this idea.
And he approached us as he heard of our idea and our desire for a new shop, and wondered if we would be interested also in incorporating organ builders into this idea. And at first we thought, no, we're not organ builders, we're woodworkers. But as we started to hear more from Martin, the larger organ building community, and St. John's, we saw that this was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
They looked at me kind of in a funny way, but they were not just saying no, which I thought, wow, that's amazing. I thought I just had a really crazy idea.
And so we went ahead and started to bring about proposals to the community. By the end, we ended up with 2,500 donors. We've raised about almost the full goal that we had for this building, and also the moving of Martin's shop here to Minnesota.
There was more support than I ever experienced in my life. And then the rest, they say, is history. We started and we came here, and I even love it more than I did back then, because now it's a real thing.
Benedictines have been building organs since the 9th century. And so the idea being that this is part of our tradition.
You can look back, the most important organ builder of all times was a Benedictine monk in France in the early 1730s. And so he wrote a book, a guide to build, organ building, including making tools and everything.
It's still used today as the kind of instruction manual for organ building. But also Benedictines have this long tradition of manual trades, right? So the idea that we're working with our hands, we've lifted up manual labor.
So I thought, oh my goodness, I mean, we could recreate, or we could continue this forgotten tradition by the monks.
This is our time to contribute something new to the culture and to the community here in central Minnesota.
Building an organ, it starts, of course, with somebody wanting you to do it. So they invite you, a customer, a church mostly.
This first organ is going down to a parish in Leawood, Kansas, St. Michael the Archangel.
A while before we really start building that organ, it has to be designed. Every part, it's a lot of technical engineering. I like to design it so it kind of feels at home in the environment. The whole process then starts of building the parts, starting from the wind chest, that's where the pipes sit on and where the wind gets distributed to the pipes, and keyboards, and also decoration, carvings on we call them pipe shades. But there's a lot of interaction though always because we are small, so everybody does more than just one thing.
And so this will have 45 stops, about 3,000 pipes.
Once the case is made and stands there, then we start putting all these parts that we made there into place, and then we fit things, and then we put the console there. All these things need to be placed inside the organ the way we designed it. And then all of a sudden it becomes a musical instrument, which is a really odd thing at that point. It's very exciting, and it won't be here very long.
It'll take us 18 months to build here, and then after we build it, we'll take it apart, put it on trucks, send it to Leawood, Kansas, and there for 3 to 4 months, they'll go ahead and install the organ.
This organ is going to be a tool for the organist, and we want to make the finest possible tool, because tools are very important, in any place.
Many of the people who work in the shop today are in their 60s, nearing 70s. They're at the top of their craft.
I'm approaching, retirement age. I need to figure something out with all my stuff that I have in my knowledge. And,
This is another way to pass on this craft to the next generation, to keep these skills going, so that it doesn't get lost. And I think we're a perfect place to do that, in the fact that we already have much of that infrastructure here on campus and the knowledge how to make that work.
But the big point for me was always really this also be an educational venue, to be able to train new organ builders, because we really need, in desperate need of young people to continue. There is a big gap all of a sudden. There's only older people.
So our hope is that we are able to bring up the next generation and pass these crafts on while these workers are still able to do that. And so it's a real kind of privilege and honor to be in that position, where we have kind of masters in the craft, and just hopefully we can find those interested and capable students who want to bring this into the 21st century.
It's not easy to find something like this. It's unbeatable, so it's highly recommendable.